Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I'm not buying any more orchids, so this is me not buying any more orchids. And I might not be buying a few more later in the week. Postman Pat's just been with that. That was dispatched, or marked as dispatched, Sunday afternoon. It's Tuesday today. And that's what needs to happen with postage. I'm getting fed up. It's 2017. These are not delivered by stagecoach anymore. They should not take a couple of flipping weeks to get between countries in our so-called European Union. You listening, Germany? Worst offenders. Anyway, let's see what we've got. I know what I've got. You don't. I bought two plants. Basically, I got a comment from, what was the channel name? Basia Ronald, or Basia Ronald. Not a person I knew, but nonetheless, the comment came up and said, there is this particular plant for sale on eBay at the moment, and within 30 seconds of seeing the comment, I'd bought the plant. They give you a clue. Must have been something I was after. And quite honestly, I've been after this for some time. I hope it lives up to what I bought. Photographs can be deceiving, especially with colours. The only reason I got this was the colour. In theory. You may or may not be able to see the colour, because at the time the picture said it's in bloom. Whether it still is or not, we don't know. Well, that I was not expecting to be in bloom, but I'll have it. This was the throwaway plant. This was the one I added in to make the postage more logical, because my mind on postage is not at individual plant level, it's the collective postage divided amongst the number of plants. And if you only buy one plant, that's it, that's what the postage is. And it can seem a bit excessive, you know, can double the price of the plant. But, you know, if the postage, a lot of eBay sellers, if you buy second, third, fourth plants, they only charge a minimal amount because they've only got to do one box. It makes sense and it's good business in my view. So I had a throwaway plant added in because I lost some. And it is actually in bloom. And it's got a second spike coming. I'm pleased with that. I've lost quite a few of my Tolumnias, which is just sad for me. They are one of my favourite Oncidium types. Well, that steak was, stopping it getting squashed in the box. I got a lolly stick. Now you know who it's from, don't you? Those of you who follow me and that seller, you always get a lolly stick. Or it's a stick it in your throat and say ah, whatever you want to call it. I call them lolly sticks. So no ID Tolumnia. And quite honestly, I'll get that out of the pot and come back, because undoing that sellotape around the pot is a pain in the proverbial. But yeah, that's a nice bloom. But we'll revisit when I've got them unpacked. Let's just get all the sellotape off and everything, and then you avoid hearing the swearing that goes on associated with sellotape that won't come undone. Now this is what I actually went there to buy, and whether this is still in bloom or not, I don't know. I'll be pleased if it is. Right in the middle of watering this was, right in mid-flow. Oh. What do you think? I've been after a yellow Miltoniopsis for a long time. Now that's a creamy yellow, but it ain't white. These are large blooms. Okay, let's get it out of the packing and everything, then we can have a closer look. It's actually got a name, so it's a named Miltoniopsis, and it's yellowish with red and purple. That is a nice bloom, and as Miltoniopsis go, looking at it on the surface, that's actually a pretty good plant. Anyway, let's get them out and have a good look. I'll be back. Okay, there we go then. Unwrapped. See if I can get... Ouch! So the stand that the fogger's on has just decided to take some of my rib cage out. You didn't hear the language. That is a pretty little bloom, and as Tolumnia blooms go, the shape is unusual. So it's different. The lip is larger in proportion to the top of the plant. Now, I didn't look at this closely when I bought it. I was after the Miltoniopsis, and I just wanted another plant to sort of justify the postage simply, and I thought, well, I've lost a few Tolumnias. That one doesn't look bad, I'll have that. It was a very fast snap decision. I didn't look closely, but on closer inspection, that is quite a special little Tolumnia. It'd be nice if it had a name. I might be able to find a name for that, but Tolumnias have caught on in recent times. If you go back probably only 5 or 6 years, there weren't many around. You couldn't find them. And yet now, everybody seems to be selling them. At the RHS show last year, quite a few sellers had dozens of unnamed Tolumnia hybrids in bloom, knocking them out at £5.99. £6 for a Tolumnia in bloom. You know, so somebody's decided that these are worthwhile and started giving us the options to buy them and get them cheaply. So, I mean, I paid a bit more for this one, but that is a mature plant as Tolumnias go. There's several good new growths on there. There's another spike coming here out of this latest growth. It won't be in that pot long. Quite honestly, I don't think it's been in that pot long looking at it. I think that's been stuck in the pot. Nonetheless, it's coming out anyway, so what it's in doesn't matter. Like I've always said with Tolumnias, I always think of them as growing on something, not in something. So whatever it's in, it's coming out. That'll go on a mount. And as for this, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm still going to keep my eye out for a deep yellow one. But I've only ever seen them in the States so far. Plant-wise, that is wringing wet, but hopefully it'll dry off relatively quickly. It's a broken root tip on the side of the pot, which is a nuisance, but you know, that's packing and postage for you. It's not wobbling that much in the pot, and looking down the side of the pot, there are roots. There's good roots in that pot. But the latest new roots that have come out of the growth that's bloomed, which is the largest pseudobulb, understandably, they're relatively new, and most of them are not doing that well. I just hope there are some that decided to go into that, I'll call it media, but I really don't like the look of it. But I need to dry it off. It's soggy wet at the moment, which is too wet. Remember, my night temperatures are dropping down a bit, and Miltoniopsis don't mind the cool. In fact, they like it. They need it, in fact. But that's too wet. Far too wet. That's soggy wet. If I squeeze that pot, it would drip out the bottom. That's too much. So we'll dry it off a bit, and when it's nearly dry, it can have a drop more water to keep it slightly moist. It don't need to be wringing wet. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. That's quite an attractive bloom. Right, any fragrance? Not that I can detect, but it's just come out of the dark. You know, I mean, fragrance is triggered in ideal light conditions for the particular plant, you know, when the pollinators would be around. Well, it's a hybrid, so it's probably lost that instinctive behaviour. But nonetheless, most Miltoniopsis are fragrant. And this is Miltoniopsis junit, I think. I'll go and look the name up before I'll put a pop-up. But yeah, quite pleased. 2 new plants. As I say, this is me not buying orchids. And later in the week, hopefully, Postman Pat willing, we will be not buying some more. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, 2 new ones. I've always said I will get more Miltoniopsis. I think I've got my head round looking after them nowadays. They don't like the summer, but they live with it, providing they go into the summer in a healthy state. Tolumnias, the only reason I've ever lost Tolumnias was the scale attack. No other reason. Otherwise they do well for me. So an additional one to the collection. You know, I started with 15. I had a species in there that John in Barcelona's relatively recently got. And the scale ate the plant. You know, the little fans on it, it was a species and the fans were about this big. They were minute. That's what it is. That's how it grows. And the scale just ate it. You know, they destroyed the plant. And messing about with the soapy washes didn't cure the problem fast enough to save the plant. So that was the first one I lost. I started with 15, that took it down to 14. I think I'm down to 8 now. And just fundamentally down to the scale and me not dealing with them properly. Dead. You know, I gave them a good wash. They were nice and clean. And some of them thought, yeah, I like that. I'll breed now. And I didn't stop them fast enough. Well, that ain't going to happen again. Anyway, 2 new ones. Yeah, pleased with those. Do you know, every time I buy from this UK seller, this speciotic plants or speciotic orchids, whatever, speciotic plants I think it is, the eBay seller name anyway. And generally speaking, you get well-packed, pretty good plants. They're not bad. They're not the cheapest in the world, and some of them are relatively quite expensive. It makes me laugh because they're all called rare. You know, Phalaenopsis hybrid, rare. Cobblers. It's just advertising, you know. If people think it's rare, they might pay a bit more for it. But do your homework, you know. If you think you're paying too much for a plant, well, don't get it. If you absolutely have to have it, you'll pay whatever, won't you? So these are your decisions. But both of these were buy it now, so they weren't auctions, so I knew exactly what I was getting for what I was paying, and I'm pleased. See you next time.